Welcome back to the Unconventional Coach Podcast. You are joining me for episode 50. We finally hit the 50 mark, and it's a little bit of a different setting today because I don't have my camera. For those of you watching on YouTube, you are sat at my desk being filmed off of my Mac. Not that the YouTube version really matters. However, if you are watching on YouTube, how good do my teeth look? I'm really happy with them. Obviously, those of you who follow on my story will know I've been getting the Invisalign treatment, and I am really happy with it. It's so nice to just look and see white, straight teeth. They're not quite done as of yet, but yeah, if you are watching on YouTube, if you're not, you're probably just like, fuck off, Jamie, let's get into this podcast. But today we are talking about productivity. Okay, now I am someone who thrives off of productivity, perhaps a little bit too much. Like, I'm very guilty of being busy and not productive. And if you don't really get what that means, it's like you're always busy running around doing stuff, washing up, or messaging people and meeting people and going food shopping and then working or whatever. So you're always busy, but you're not productive. Okay, so productivity is basically where you get a big chunk of stuff done in a shorter amount of time. And I think definitely in the lockdowns as well, in the past, I think people kind of got they have more time. So for a lot of people, they had more time than ever, but we're still finding that they weren't getting shit done, basically. And when I work with clients, a lot of the time, one of the biggest things we kind of tackle is actually just the lack of productivity in their life. I think organization and productivity come under one thing, because I personally think I can't be productive if I'm not organized, because of my lifestyle, because of the commitments I have, because I have a child. And do you know what I mean? It's impossible for me to be productive if I have not organized and planned my days. Okay, so in this podcast, I'm going to give you some sort of tips and tricks on how to be productive. But I think initially I want to talk about, basically I want to give you a bit of tough love, and I want to kind of show you some of the ways that your time and energy is probably being misused. And this is more fitness based, but of course this can apply to all areas of your life. At the end of the day, look at where your time is going. And if you are someone who is trying to achieve a result like fat loss, for example, if you are spending more time with friends that are eating, drinking, then you are committing to your fat loss goals, whether that be sort of eating well, exercising, then it's no surprise that you aren't going to be seeing the fat loss results you want. And I always say, own your shit. Own your shit. If you haven't prepared, then you haven't prepared. Okay, that's not to say, you're a failure. You're a failure. You're never going to achieve anything. No, it's not to say that at all. It's just saying, look, I didn't prepare for X, Y, and Z situation, so I was unprepared, but now I'm going to put the measures in place to make sure I'm prepared next time. Okay, so productivity, you need to put measures in place in order to be productive. Okay, and a lot of the time people use time as a reason to not hit their goals, and sometimes it is like there are situations where people have less time than others. Absolutely. When people are like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day, and it's like, well, actually, Kaylee, we don't, because you are 23, live with your parents, don't have any fucking children, so your situation is a hell of a lot different to 25-year-old Jane. That's not a 25-year-old's name. Sorry if there's any 25-year-olds named Jane listening to this, but Jane, who's got 2 children, a husband who works, and do you know what I mean? And parents that are elderly and need her help. So we do all have the same 24 hours, but what makes up that time differs person to person, and not only on like your commitments, but also what you actually want to do. And I think it's really important to actually establish what you want, because I think a lot of the time people feel that they should want something, but they don't actually want it. So to give you an example, a lot of the time clients may feel like they want to lose a lot of body fat, for example. They feel like they really want to get really lean. They're kind of looking at people they aspire to on Instagram. They think, I want to get as lean as that person. And you may aspire to that, but reality is you don't actually want that, because you look at what they have to do to achieve that, which is sacrifice their social life, sacrifice meals out. And I ask my clients, I'm like when before they've said, oh, I want to get here in 6 months, I'll say, right, okay, well, if you want to get here in 6 months, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z action. Do you want to do that action? And they'll say, actually, no. And I'll say, right, well, then you don't want to achieve that, because if you did, you would sacrifice anything to do that, okay? So you need to establish what you want. And I think initially that's really hard, because we always get told that we should want X, Y, and Z. And we get told as women that we should want to look a certain way. And the reality is you might not actually want to look a certain way. You might just want to build a healthier relationship with food and train consistently and enjoy your life, which, I mean, weight loss will likely be a byproduct of that to a certain extent, but don't listen to what you want, and you'll know what you want deep down, because your actions will dictate that. Your actions will dictate everything, okay? So if you're someone who wants to lose weight, but you're not putting the measures in place, then guess what? You probably don't want to lose weight as much as you think you do, okay? So look at where your energy is going and focus on what you want. And if that means turning down some friends, saying no to certain social events, then that's a sacrifice you have to make, okay? I'm not saying don't ever go on meals out, or if you do go on meals out, you have to have a salad. You're not allowed to drink alcohol. No, that is not, any of my clients listening to this will know that if they've said, oh, I went out for a meal last night, the first thing I say is like, oh, what'd you have? Did you enjoy it? Do you know what I mean? Because that's the most important thing. People listening to this, normal people, you are not someone trying to jump on stage and do a bodybuilding show. You're not someone, and I use that as an example just because on social media, that is kind of like, I think a lot of the time, the look people aspire to. And there's no, you can 100% marvel and, what's the word, like, look up at that, because it's hard. Do you know what I mean? It is hard. Like, dieting that extreme for prolonged periods of time is hard and takes real dedication. And those people wouldn't achieve that if deep down they didn't want that, okay? So look at what you actually want first and foremost, because if you're constantly working towards something that you don't actually want, guess what? You're always going to fall short because you don't actually want to achieve it, okay? So the first tip I'm going to give you for productivity is probably the best tip I could give you, and that is simply planning your days, okay? So underrated, so not used enough, okay? And if you are someone with a busy schedule, if you're someone who works, if you're someone who has children, or just anyone, honestly, I cannot tell you how beneficial it is to just plan your day and plan your week as well, okay? I like planning my week because I am a very busy person. I obviously have a child, I have work, I run my own business from home. I work with like 50 ladies that need my support. Some weeks I have a lot of calls in the evening, and it's crazy how when you are a parent, your time is so precious. And I was having this conversation with my friend the other day about like mindlessly scrolling on Instagram, and how like I'll get sucked in for like 15 minutes, and that might not, that for someone maybe like, oh, that's just 15 minutes, but in that time I could have like replied to a bunch of my clients, I could have like done the washing up, or it's when you are limited with time, 15 minutes can be so much, and it could be such a big difference. So I really do try and I avoid mindless scrolling as much as possible, which we'll sort of go on to in a little bit. But planning out your day, and even planning in as well, and if you're someone like me who I really struggle switching off, I am I think it's called like high functioning anxiety. Like I have a work for me is like it's like a comfort, which may sound really weird, but for me, work is what I do when I'm actually stressed. It's a comfort for me, because I feel like, oh, if I'm doing this, I am in control. And that's not the case, because you get to a place where you're just so burnt out with work that you're not productive. Because every time I'm not with Bear, and I'm a lot better at it. I'm really working on it the last sort of few months. I'm really working on not working all the time, and I've actually given myself like days off. And to be honest, it hasn't worked out how it was meant to be. I was meant to have every Saturday off work, but really it's just turned into a Saturday where I don't communicate with my clients, which obviously takes up quite a big chunk of my time. So I have that day now where I don't communicate with clients, but I do other work that needs to be done, because I have more work on at the moment. But hopefully when things are a little less busy, I will actually take a day off. But for me as well, I get time off with Bear, because I obviously look after Bear. He goes to nursery 2 days a week, and today is one of them. But on any other day, in the morning, my partner has him. I'll then have Bear in the morning right up until he goes to bed. So from like 9:30, 10 till 6:30. So I'll be with him, and in that time usually he does naps, so I'll do a bit of work, client replies and so on. But other than that, I am with him, and when I'm with him I get a break from work. But any parent listening to this will know that you're being with your child is not a break. So although I get a break from work, I am out and about, and I love Bear more than anything in the world. Like he is my best friend. He is such a lovely, funny little boy. He's getting so funny. He literally cracks me up. But you have to he's 2 and a bit now, so I have to take on his emotions when he's having tantrums, and it's just exhausting. So by the time he's in bed, I'm so exhausted, and then that's when me time starts. So I do a bit more work, and then maybe like 7:30 I'm like, right, now this is my time to train, and that's really the only time I get to myself. But sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent then, but I'm someone who work is a comfort for me, and for a long time since having Bear, every time I wasn't with Bear, I felt like I had to be working, because I had to be using that time wisely. And what I've learned over the last sort of 6 months, 8 months, something, a year maybe, is that you cannot always be working, because you will burn yourself out. It's really important, and you won't be productive either. Like I'll have times where I'm staring at my laptop, and I'll be like messaging clients, and then I'll be reading a PDF, and then I'll be planning tomorrow, and then I'll be messaging my friends and voice noting people, and then looking at emails to book Bear in for swimming. And it's just like, fucking hell, like you cannot be in all these places at once. So it's really important that you schedule in time for work and for yourself, okay? And I do not get a lot of time to myself at all, but I feel so much better for actually getting that in, even if that's me saying, right, at 10 o'clock, after I've dropped Bear off at nursery and I've replied to clients, I will give myself a 20-minute break to eat and to just watch Friends on TV. And then during that time, I will try and not to reply to clients or think of work, because again, I need that separation and time off, okay? And that's really how you can be better at being productive. If you're someone who feels like it's like that video where it's like, were you productive today? No. And then it's like, did you at least have time to relax? Somehow also no. And it's like, it's so true. If people don't know what that is, oh my God, I really want to find it actually so I can show you. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry if you're listening, I'm going to go silent just for have you been productive today? Oh, I'm not going to find it. But it's so funny. It's so true as well. So you need to have downtime in order to help you be productive, because if you are just constantly working, constantly putting all your energy into something, how are you going to have energy for anything else? Okay, so it's really important that you have set times and you set boundaries. Like, that's really what I would say is setting boundaries. Boundaries for work, boundaries for friends, having specific times of the day where you do stuff. And if you are someone who works a 9 to 5, you could get up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. even and go out for a 30-minute walk for yourself, okay? Give yourself a bit of breathing time, give yourself some time to sort of plan your day, and then you're going to be so much more, you're just going to feel better. Like, there's a really good video I saw, and it was a girl, and she had like a jug, and she had like 2 cups of water, and she poured like a juice, kind of like a dark liquid, in like a bottle first. She put that in the jug first, and it filled up like a lot of the bottle, and then she put the water in, and obviously you could see the separation. There was less space for the water, and she was kind of saying, this water, you are the water, and the other liquid is like other stimulus, so friends, Instagram, so on. And then she did it opposite, where she filled the jug with water and then she put the other liquid in, and obviously the other liquid like diluted, so it wasn't as present. So she was basically saying, you, in the morning, you should prioritize yourself. Like, don't just give to others. Like, don't just wake up in the morning, go straight on Instagram and look at your phone and reply to friends. Like, that's, I'm not saying don't talk to your friends, but it's easy to just sort of lose focus. And especially if you're working, like if you're working and you're in like focused work, every distraction, every time you get distracted, so if you're working in an office and you're like, I don't know, writing something, and Linda comes around, she was like, you want a cup of tea, love? It will take you about 15 minutes to actually get back into what you're doing. So every time a task is interrupted, it takes about 15 minutes to actually get back into the task at hand. So imagine how many times, if you pick up your phone, if you get up, you're not in productive flow, okay? This is more so sort of work related, but also setting yourself, if you are someone who works from home, setting yourself like work breaks and work blocks is really helpful when it comes to being productive as at home. So set yourself, I got an app called Forest, and I got this off of, if you want to sort of learn more about productivity, a book I'd highly recommend is Grace Beverley, Working Hard, Hardly Working. It's a really good book. It talks about kind of the balance between hard work and resting and how important it is, basically. It's a brilliant book. And she told me about an app called Forest, and basically you set a timer on your phone. I'll get it up for those on Instagram. So I got a Flora app because you had to pay for Forest, and I was a bit stingy. So you can set a timer. So you've got a focus timer, and you could set that for anywhere between 5 minutes, 10 minutes to like hours. So I set it, and I used to do this before I had Bear, and then when I had Bear that kind of went out the window, but I'm doing it again. So I'll set myself a timer for 45 minutes of work, and my attention span is probably about 45 minutes. I will focus on something for about 45 minutes and then my mind will wander. I'll be like, oh, I'm hungry, or I wonder what's going on Instagram, or oh, should I reply to that friend, and oh, I forgot this, and my mind starts to wander. So if that's the case, I set my 45-minute timer and then I give myself a 10-minute break and I do whatever I want to do. So I might get a drink, I might scroll on Instagram, I might reply to my friends, and I'm separating that work time and that me time, so it doesn't just feel like it's all muddled up, basically. So that's kind of like productivity and sort of like work, but you can apply that to anything. Like there's that saying, if you give yourself all day to complete a task, it will take all day. So even things like cleaning, I'm filming this podcast and then I'm going to set myself a timer for 30 minutes and see how much cleaning I can do in 30 minutes. So putting a time restraint on things can be really beneficial for productivity, because then it's not just a case of like, oh, it will take as long as it needs. And then it's also not a case of like, oh, I've got a few hours, so I'll just see what I can do in these few hours, or oh, I'll get that done in 3 hours. But then an hour in, you've lost your concentration. You're downstairs having a coffee and watching Friends, which is what I'll end up doing. So put measures in place like that app to help and separate, do you know what I mean, your work time, your family time, your you time. And coming back to what I was saying from this point is planning your day, like physically plan it in. I have a journal that I use that I've actually created. They will be on sale, but not just yet. I'm so in love with it. Obviously, I spoke before on my Instagram and on my podcast about the journal I was using. And I thought, oh, I might just make my own. So I have. So I have a bunch of journals ready to help you all. They've been specifically designed for sort of your health and fitness needs. And that's all I'm going to say. But I use that now. So I use that and I plan out my day. I plan out like big tasks for the week as well. And what I do is I plan my training in advance, because my partner works from home as well. So he trains. So we need to see who's going gym what nights, because that's really the only time we can both go is at night. So we say, right, I'm going this day, he's going that day, I'm going this day, I'm going that way. So I plan in like my non-negotiables, so things I have planned. So days I'm going to train, I plan in calls. I have a lot of calls this week, so I'm really having to be extra sort of on it with like my tasks and stuff. So I plan out my days, I plan out my walks to get my steps in, I plan out when I'm going to be putting time aside to like reply to my clients. I put time aside where obviously I'm with Bear, and it just really helps me as well, because I can see where my time's gone. And if I have put Bear to bed and I've scrolled on Instagram for 2 hours, which I wouldn't do, but do you know what I mean? If I've scrolled on Instagram and for half an hour and in that time I was meant to go for a walk, I'm like, oh fuck, do you know what I mean? So it's a really great way of seeing where your time is going. And for a lot of people, it's not really going on a lot, to be honest. You'd be surprised the amount of time you're probably wasting on replying to your friends and mindlessly walking through your house and dusting and fuck knows, do you know what I mean, watching Netflix. So, and that's not me saying don't do those things and don't have times where you just chill, but plan that in, because if you're someone busy, you can't just spend every evening relaxing, because you're never going to get shit done. Plan that in on a day that you can. Do you know what I mean? For me, Saturday evenings, I make sure I have some time off and I relax, and that is going to help me be more productive for work in the morning, because I've actually had a break from work. Okay, so prioritize your time, plan your days, plan your week, so you get, I like to call it a bird's eye view, so it becomes a lot less stressful. If you're someone trying to plan in training and you haven't trained Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you've got 3 sessions to fit in, and you're like, oh, I'm going out for a meal on Friday, and then Sunday I'm out all day, like at the beach, so when am I going to train? It's like, well, if you would have planned your weekend, you would have seen the commitments you have, and you can plan your training, your steps, your meal prep also around it, okay? So plan your days, plan your weeks. It's going to be so beneficial for you. I kind of gave you like loads of tips in one there, so I do apologise. Another tip would be to set boundaries, and this is talking about friends, this is talking about family. As soon as people, and a good way to know if you are kind of like not good at this is if as soon as your phone goes, you're like, oh, who's that? I have to reply. Don't feel you have to. No one's going to fucking die if you haven't replied to them back. Do you know what I mean? And if they're your friend, they'll understand that. I have my best friend Rebecca, who's also, do you know what I mean, busy mum, working mum. And we might not reply to each other for like 4 hours. And we'll be like, oh, sorry, I was just bummed down in work. And the other person will be like, that's all right. I hope you were really productive. Because at the end of the day, we know how important our work is for each other. Do you know what I mean? And we support each other. And if she messaged me, and I might take a glance at it, do you know what I mean? I might see, oh, is she all right, sort of thing. If she's been like, oh shit, Jamie, I need your help, I'll be like, oh, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Because it's important. But 9 times out of 10, we don't have emergencies going on. Do you know what I mean? We're just spilling the tea, so that's fine. But I will not. I won't sacrifice my productivity time. And again, sometimes I do. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'll be in a work block and I'm like, oh, I'll just reply to her quickly. But if you use that app Flora, if you come off of the app and use your phone, your tree will die. That's what I didn't say about the app. So you set your timer, and during that time, a tree will grow, like a tree on your phone. And if you come off of the app, your tree will die, and then it will come up like you killed your tree, and then you actually feel bad. So it's a really good way to keep you working, because I'm like, oh, if I go on my phone, I'm going to kill my tree. And then when you've done your time, you see your tree that's grown from you being productive and just working. So it's really great. It's a really good incentive. But setting boundaries with friends, and I've had it a lot with my clients recently, like a lot more socializing and stuff, which is amazing. And again, you've got to look at things as a whole, because there will be times in your life, especially now. Obviously, we've come out of like a big lockdown sort of thing. So a lot of people are only now able to socialise, and a lot more people have had a lot more social events. So if that's the case, and you're someone seeking fat loss and you've been doing really well with the lockdowns, but now you're being more social, and you'll kind of feel that you're not able to give as much to your fat loss and fitness, that's okay. Life comes in waves. There's going to be times where you don't have a lot on and you can put more energy. And I like to use the analogy of like marbles. So you have a certain amount of marbles for yourself, okay? You have all these marbles, and you put them in your jars, and you've got jars for friends, you've got jars for family, you've got jars for socializing, you've got jars for gym, and so on. And the distribution of those marbles will be different day to day, month by month, week by week, okay? So it's important to know that there will be times where you have more marbles in the social jars, and that's okay. It will come in waves. But it's important that if you are trying to achieve something, you do set boundaries with your friends and with your families, especially if you've got friends and family that are like, oh, why are you trying to lose weight? You don't need to lose weight. Come to the pub, la, la, la. And if you've gone to the pub, for example, and said, I'm not drinking tonight, and that a friend comes back and buys you, I don't know, a beer or like a gin and tonic, and you're like, I said I wasn't drinking, they're like, oh, you can have one. They probably don't have malicious intentions, but at the end of the day, you've set a boundary with them and they've broke it. So you need to decide how you feel about it. And if you're like, oh, that's all right, because at the end of the day, one gin and tonic's not going to fucking kill you. But again, if you're like, oh, that's all right, thank you. But if you were really adamant on not drinking and they've done that, put your foot down. Put your foot down. Say, I didn't want to drink. I'm not drinking it. You don't have to drink it, okay? You are your own person. Set these boundaries down for yourself, okay? Moving on, because I feel like I'll go through that one for ages. Right, stop scrolling. Stop scrolling. You can set, I haven't done this actually, you can set limits on your apps to stop you from scrolling. I find for me, it's like a default. It really is a default. And now what I do is if I click on Instagram, and you know what? I can't tell you how much happier I feel when I've had a day off social media, or like not on it as much. I feel so much more productive. And I just feel a lot better in myself. So one thing I'm actually going to be doing for this month is having like the weekend off of Instagram. so like I'm going to try and have like Saturday and Sunday where I just don't go on it, just to see again if I am more productive on that as well, because really the only reason I want to go on Instagram is to post or give something. I don't follow people per se. I'm not like, oh, what have they done today? Do you know what I mean? I'm not. But that doesn't mean I don't look at people's stories mindlessly and be like, oh, Georgie's having her green beans and food, and like this person's gone out for brunch again, or oh, that my friend's dog has gone to the groomers, or do you know what I mean? Just all this sort of I follow people but I don't really. Do you know what I mean? So when I go on Instagram, I try and now say to myself, what am I coming on here for? And if I've gone on there, and I'll do it where I'll like go on my phone, I'll go on Instagram and I'll be like, oh fuck, and I'll put my phone down because I don't actually need to go on it. So if you are going on Instagram, ask yourself, why am I going on Instagram? Am I trying to look at what someone's been up to? And if so, do I actually give a shit? If you're going on Instagram to look at what Kylie Jenner's done today, is that really a good use of your time? If you're going on there to see if your friend has posted anything about, I don't know, getting a new job, fair enough. If you're going on there because you just want a 5-minute scroll, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? There's no right or wrong answers here. However, if it's not serving you, you have to sorry, I burped. You have to look at it and say, right, well, I need to change this. So stop mindlessly scrolling. Set yourself a timer, okay? Set yourself a timer to scroll on Instagram. If it's come to the evening, you've just put the kids to bed, you want to sit down before you start making dinner, set yourself a timer for 10 minutes, scroll on Instagram. Once that's off, cool, I'll get my dinner on. Do you know what I mean? Just putting those measures in place, setting alarms, and just seeing where your time needs to be prioritized, okay? Next tip is combining tasks. This is probably the best thing if you are someone who is like, oh, I don't have time to read, or like I don't have time to kind of learn, is to combine tasks. So, for example, I listen to audiobooks while I wash up or while I drive, because you might. And again, I am someone who I don't read books physically because I don't have the time to. When you read, you have to read. Do you know what I mean? You have to have your two hands on the book, reading. I can't read and wash up. So I listen to audiobooks, and I actually find that I learn better through listening as well. So audiobooks is great for me. I will listen to an audiobook while I wash up, while I drive, if I don't have Bear in the car, or I'll listen to them while I get ready. And I'm a sucker for a podcast. I like listening to podcasts while I work, and although maybe that's not being 100% productive, I like listening to it. And if I'm doing kind of a task that doesn't require as much kind of like, if I don't have like an internal dialogue going on, like I say, if I'm writing a guide or something, then it's harder to listen to something. But if I'm doing something that is like a bit mundane, like doing out my Google Sheets or something like that, then I can listen to a podcast. So combining tasks, if you're someone who wants to learn something and you're always like, oh, I don't have time to read, for example, get audiobook. You can get 3 credits a month, £7.99 on audiobook. Every book you buy, if you're buying a decent book, it's probably about 15 to 20 to like 30 quid. So if you've got audiobook, you pay £7.99 and you can get 3 books a month. It's a game changer. I love learning. I'm listening to a book at the moment called Unfuxk Yourself, which is really good as well. So if you're sort of struggling to just sort of sort your life out, it's a really good book. So combining tasks, and just, again, it comes to owning your own shit, okay? Just I said this to a client yesterday. Take an inventory of your day. Okay, sit down. Right, what have I done today? I've not done nothing. Okay, well, what are you going to do now then? What measures are you going to put in place to make sure that you don't do nothing? And just own your shit, guys. Honestly, it is as soon as you can accept your choices, you can change them. If you're someone who's in denial, like, oh no, I just don't have time, and I get why you feel like that, because I've been like that before. With, like, for another good example, cooking. I fucking hate cooking. I would always use the excuse of I don't have time to meal prep. It's not that I don't have time to meal prep. I could make the time to meal prep. I just don't want to. So what do? I get a meal prep company. I pay for a meal prep company and they send me meals twice a week and they're bloody amazing. And I don't have to cook them. Massive time saver. And I can use that time elsewhere, which is what I really want to do. I don't want to spend time cooking. I would much rather, and if I do cook, I do listen to an audiobook while I cook. But I don't want to spend time cooking. I would rather spend that somewhere else. So that's what I do. So have a look at where your time is going and see if you can outsource that, okay? Same with, like, food shopping. If you spend an hour an evening in Tesco's doing a food shop, that you could have used that hour to train or go for a walk or whatever, or see a friend or whatever, get Tesco delivery. You might pay £5 more for a delivery. I'm sure you've got that. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you can spare £5 to pay for your Tesco delivery and put it away. Do you know what I mean? Look at where your time is going and look at where you want to shift it. And that's not saying you never go and do a food shop again. It's just saying to yourself, right, where can I make time? If you do your bird's eye view of your week and you're like this week, I've got a really busy week in the evenings with calls. So for me, I've really had to juggle things around to see when I'm going to fit my trainer sessions in. But I've done it. I'm going to fit them in. And there will be weeks where perhaps I don't. But if I plan it, I give myself the best chance in getting everything done, okay? It feels nice to do a podcast again. I honestly kind of felt like I was ripping off a bit of a band-aid because I haven't done a podcast for a while. And I think the reason why is because I'd like to get some more guests on here. But to recap, bullet notes of how to be more productive, put measures in place, okay? Set alarms, Flora, brilliant app, set yourself work blocks, set yourself time for everything. I do not have time on a Sunday to do a spring clean of my whole house. So I'm going to try and set myself 15, 30 minutes a day to do as much cleaning as I can within that day, okay? Put yourself first, okay? That's not saying all the time. That's not saying never see your friends again. Or, do you know what I mean? There's always exceptions, okay? But put yourself first, okay? Because this is your fucking life and you only get one of them, okay? So you need to put yourself first. Set boundaries with your friends. Set boundaries with work as well. Like the amount of more work my clients have done from working at home is ridiculous. It's like people expect them just because they're at home to respond to their emails. No. Do not do more for your work unless you're getting paid for it. The amount of times people will be like, I've done overtime and I'm not even getting paid for it. So why fucking do it then? Do you know what I mean? So set boundaries with your friends, with your work, even with like your gym and stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? You can't just always be there. You have other commitments you need to do. And for me, for example, I am someone who wouldn't really prioritize like socializing, but socializing is important. So I set boundaries on my work now, so I don't end up working all the time, and I make sure I actually have time off. Like, I think people think that being productive is trying to sort of do more in your work, and it is to a certain extent, but I need to be better at taking a step back, so I focus on that as well. Stop mindlessly scrolling on social media, replying to friends and so on. Write a to-do list each day and plan your week. Plan your week, okay? Best tip I could give you, okay? Combine tasks. Audiobook is brilliant, really great way to sort of expand your knowledge. And also, if you're listening to stuff that is about kind of what I've spoken about in this podcast, optimizing your life, being more productive, getting more out of your life, you're gonna want to get more out of your life. Do you know what I mean? I just think this is a bit deep for the kind of end of this podcast, but I feel like I've seen a lot of like death recently. And I am, truth be told, absolutely petrified. Since I've had Bear, I am petrified of leaving him. And it really gets to me. Like, there'll be some evenings where, literally last night, me and my partner were watching Avengers Endgame, and obviously, oh no, not Endgame, another one. And obviously, I'm going to sound like such a nerd, Thanos, he wipes out like half of the world, and they like literally turn to dust. And I was just like, oh man, what happens? What happens after? Like, it really does scare me. And I just think, I just really want to live my life and enjoy my life. And because I've been in a place where for probably about a year and a half, 2 years, all I did was work, I didn't enjoy my life. Now I'm like, right, I need to enjoy my life, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And I just think life's too short to say, oh, I'll do it another day, or not basically get what you want from life. So if you're listening to stuff that kind of reinforces that, you're going to want more, and you're going to do more and achieve more, okay? Look where your energy is going, and spend that time wisely, okay? So if you've got your marbles and you want to lose weight, for example, but you're not spending any time moving more, prioritizing your food, then you need to look at your marbles and distribute them a little bit more evenly, okay? And again, it's about finding the right balance. Every day, every week, every month will be different. There'll be some months where you really take a big step on your fitness journey, you're more productive with your workouts and so on. And there will also be months where maybe you're not as productive, but that doesn't always mean that you can't strive to be better. I'll have days where I've been really unproductive, but I don't let that make me feel like a failure. There's always opportunities for a good day tomorrow, okay? Oh, right. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Episode 50 done and dusted. Please let me know if you have any like podcast recommendations, or any guests that you would like on here, any subjects that you would like me to cover. I really do just want to get a diverse podcast going. Do you know what I mean? I don't just want to talk about fitness. I want to talk about everything and anything. So any subjects that people want, any guests, please let me know. Thank you for listening, everyone. I'll see you in the next podcast.